I proudly present to you John Monks of the ETUC.
Well, thank you very much, and it's very nice to see so many people coming along to Schumann today to show our support for the ITUC campaign. You know, when this campaign started, the mood in Europe was a bit, well, we've got to do our bit to show our solidarity with the rest of the world. The rest of the world that's much of it in poverty, much of it mired with all kinds of problems that we in Europe have forgotten about. Years and years, centuries ago, before the Industrial Revolution, we thought that we'd do it for the rest of the world. But I think what we've learned, and it's Guy's last point, is that actually it's a very European campaign. It's not just showing solidarity with parts of the world that have less developed than Europe. It's actually responding to the challenges in Europe itself for decent work. Let's just say, firstly, the financial situation, the speculation that's brought Europe to the edge of ruin. Today, I don't use that word easily, ruin, but we're not far off falling over an abyss. If you saw the governments last weekend, 4 of them plus the European senior officials met in Paris on the Saturday. On Sunday, after they'd agreed to coordinate affairs, unilateral action was taken in one country. Unilateral action's being taken in all the countries at the moment. They're falling apart, they're not doing very well, the rescues that have been launched have not been working first time, and so on. So we are literally today meeting in the middle of places that are panicking, worried about the future, don't know exactly what to do. And who's to blame for that? I tell you who's to blame for that. The speculators, and the speculators were in our big banks. The speculators were in the bodies that funded hedge funds, private equity, and bought these American mortgages. And they were right in the boardrooms of the biggest banks. So the leaders of the financial community of Europe, the United States, and elsewhere have brought us to this very senior position. So if we were meeting here in 2 or 3 months' time, I'm afraid the news would be that we would be thinking about decent work in Europe. We would be looking at a graph of unemployment that's going up, rather than, as it's been in recent years, coming down. So decent work, decent working opportunities is one challenge for all European trade unions. The second one, of course, is what's the pressure on European workers now? And again, as we meet in the middle of the European institutions, we actually haven't got the European Court in view, but the European Court decisions are saying that the single market is more important than workers' rights, more important than the right to collective bargaining, more important than the right to strike. And I tell you, we've got a major crisis with the European Court. It's good to see transport workers here. They know all about the Viking case. And there are 3 other big cases. The score at the moment is European Court 4, European trade unions 0 at the present time. And that is what we've got to fight against for our decent frameworks of laws. We've got a battle in Europe as well as supporting other trade union comrades around the world. And the final challenge that we've got is on purchasing power. You took action yesterday in Belgium, many of you, in support of maintaining and improving purchasing power. Well, we get in lectures all the time from the European Bank this time, saying you can't have pay increases to compensate for inflation. That will only make inflation worse. But we say we want decent pay. On this day of decent work, we want decent pay. And we already see in Eastern Europe pressure on workers to work longer. And we want decent working hours. We don't want excessive working time through opt-outs and all the rest of it that are breeding like mice as we running around our feet as we try and keep trade union control. So this is no time for any complacency in Europe. This is absolutely no time for anything other than a hard-headed recognition that we are in a big fight. a big fight against the speculators, a big fight for decent standards of legal decisions in the European Court, a big fight for purchasing power and against excessive working time. That's our specific European fight. I'm delighted that we can join with the ITUC and help with the ITUC campaign. It's very important that Europe does its bit. We don't just think about our own problems, we think about the problems of many others who will be affected, by the way, by what's happening in Europe and in North America at the present time. So it is a day of solidarity. It's also a day of self-interest, and it's where we stand up with all our trade union colleagues around the world, whichever country, whichever continent they're in, to show our solidarity. So good luck for the campaign. Congratulations to the ITUC for the campaign. We're delighted on behalf of European trade unions to show our support, our solidarity today. Good luck, everybody.